Now I'm in Tak Shing Street, and you can see not a very wide street. Footpath here is 1.5 meters from the face of the curb to the wall. It's simply not wide enough to put a tree. To put a tree in, the tree has to be at least 500 back from the face of the curb, and then you have to have a 600 millimeter wide opening for the tree. That brings you to at least 800 or 900 from the back of the curb, which takes up more than half of that space. So not really possible to get trees in here, is it? Let us see. Now look behind me. Good heavens above. A magnificent, rather beautiful, if lopsided, Cinnamomum camphora. So how can this be growing in the street? Let's go and have a closer look. And you can see the impact that this tree has. It's absolutely beautiful. It changes the whole character of the street. But there's something I want to show you down here. Right? Notice that I'm actually walking around in the vehicular carriageway, making sure I don't get run over. Now here the footpath is even narrower. Right? So we can see that the footpath is just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1.3 meters wide. So there's no way you can get a tree in there. But the tree is not in there. The tree is actually standing in the carriageway, right? And we can see, if we look carefully, we can see the remains, the old curbs here, the remains of the tree park, right, that this tree is standing in. It's amazing, look at that. It's a massive tree in this quite narrow street, because it's growing in what was originally a tree park. This isn't the best example of the actual structure, but it's the best example of a tree in this street. And it seems to be, hanging on in there quite well. And the buildings have obviously been redeveloped, much later than the tree. These buildings look like 1980s, 1990s, something like that, maybe even later. Let's have a look over here. If we look over here, we can really see this, what I'm talking about, this tree park, which is a very old construction. I mean, you can see the old granite curbs. These little bits of concrete extensions are something newer. And you can see that the gutter for drainage runs all the way. I'm just trying to wobble around too much. There's the road drains. The gutter is continuous all the way along past the tree. So the tree is actually standing in a little island in the vehicular carriageway, and it's these. This is why we call this is why we call car parks. They're not car parks. They're actually tree parks that have been stolen. That's a tree park. And here we've got a Ficus microcarpa. Not particularly good specimen, but anyway, that shows you what can be achieved if you just give up a little bit of vehicular space. And there are some more down here. The original trees got, have died out, and they've planted replacement trees here in these tree parks, which is quite nice. I'm glad they haven't just eliminated them completely, like they have been in most of the city. This is one of only 2 streets that still has its original tree parks still intact. We've got a little tabiboya there, not particularly happy, but anyway. This is one of the few streets which still has its tree parks intact, and I'm going to just look back up the street and see what the impact of that is. That Ficus microcarpa, that Cinnamomum camphora, really transformed the street. So we are now, these days, I mean, this is the 1920s, 1930s detail that we're looking at. Now, of course, you're not allowed to do this. You have to plant in the actual footpath, which is simply not possible in a street like this. So opportunities to completely transform the city there, which are not being taken up yet.